Before we begin, I have a joke.
Okay.
I have a marketing joke to share.
Okay.
How did the bad marketer get a job making butter?
I don't know.
Guess, try.
They melted themselves.
He had a high churn rate. A high churn rate.
Okay, that's actually good. That's good.
This is Marketing Over Wine, a podcast where we talk to the marketers behind the companies, strategies, and campaigns you see in the world today. You get to share the strategies and tools they use, how they manage their earnings and price their services, and the mistakes and successes they have made in their career. So whether you're just starting out in marketing and need to learn the ropes, or you're an experienced marketer seeking fresh perspectives, or a business owner looking for insights to boost your brand, you're in the right place. Each episode is an unfiltered masterclass, so come join us. I am your host, Olabisi Adelaja. With me here today is Olabisi Adelaja, a content and growth marketer and the host of Web3 Quick Bites, a podcast where she analyzes the marketing trends in Web3 and interviews other marketers in the Web3 universe. And recently, the podcast just clocked 10,000 plays on all platforms. Woo-hoo! So, welcome, Olabisi.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let's get into the mix of it. A kid walks up to you and asks you, "Hi, BC, what do you do?" You answer and then you tell them that, "Hey, I'm a content marketer. I'm a growth marketer." What exactly does that mean? How would you define content marketing to a 5-year-old? In the simplest of words.
Okay, so you see, there's this thing that they always say, if you can't explain what you do to a small child, then you have no idea what it is you are doing.
True.
So if a little kid walks up to me, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, Auntie BC, in content marketing. What's my content marketing?" Because I'm sure they will like struggle to pronounce marketing. So
many 5-year-olds are actually pretty smart, especially this recent generation, or that they call them Corona kids. Yeah, they are pretty smart.
Yeah,
actually,
pandemic children.
Pandemic children.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, let's say they can pronounce content marketing, and then they come ask me what my job is as a content marketer. So this is how I will explain to them. Content marketing is like telling fun stories to get people excited about a company. Just like the way you read your Disney stories, your Barbie, the way you like stories, and the way you like to watch your animation, your movies and everything. So my own job is telling these fun stories to get people excited about a company, about a brand, about a business, organization, whatever it is. And I also get to use my imagination to come up with cool articles, videos, and posts to help the company share their message and not to make them boring. So it's like a playtime, but for grown-ups this time, not for adults.
I like that explanation.
Yeah,
I like that explanation. So, is it just restricted to articles or other forms of content?
No, it's not just restricted to articles. Content marketing is way beyond articles. And so when people hear content marketing, they automatically think it's articles or blog posts.
Yeah.
But if content is just restricted to articles and blog posts, in this age of social media that people have short attention span, it's going to be a waste of effort. So it's a mix of articles, blog posts, video content, podcasts, like we're doing right now. And we also have the one for the more serious people. I think, I can also group white paper under the written content.
Definitely. Ebooks too.
Yes, ebooks, white paper, ebooks, infographics. Infographics are for people who like to read and then they want like this breakdown of what they've just read in infographic format, like the bar charts, the pie charts.
And carousels.
Yes, things like that.
Okay.
So a mix of all that is what makes content marketing fun, because there's no restriction, not just limited to written content, and yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I know recently you more or less like switched from Web2 to Web3, which is also why you started the Web3 Quick Bites. So far, how has your experience been? Is the content marketing for Web2 companies different from the content marketing of Web3 companies?
All right, that's actually a very good question. When people hear Web3, they automatically think, Web3 is actually different from Web2 because it's a different technology and everything. But they're looking at it from a marketing angle. It's like different playgrounds, but content marketing still works the same magic in both. So tools in Web2 and Web3 and the tech are a bit different. I mean, in Web3 we have decentralization. In Web2 everything is central, like a monopoly. Mark is the face of Facebook or Meta. Elon Musk used to be Jack before for Twitter. For LinkedIn, I think Microsoft. So there's a monopoly of power, or how will I put it? And so that is for Web2. But for Web3 is decentralized. So the tools and tech are a bit different. But there's one thing that we have in common, that Web2 and Web3 has in common, is we still about bringing great stories to life, right? I mean, in Web3, we are often educating people about new innovations they haven't seen before. So majority of our content marketing efforts are created around educating people, because right now in Web3 we do not have
informational content.
Yes, if you can put it that way, because right now we do not have a lot of people in the space yet. If we are looking to get more people into the space, you start with educating them first. So I would say Web3 is like the new frontier with lots of unknown, and like I said before, need for education. And so for Web2 brand, the audience is already familiar with their products. I mean, what else can we come up in Web2 that people haven't heard before, or someone hasn't come up with before? Or even if someone hasn't come up with before, someone has done something similar or close to it. So the audience are already familiar with their product. So content marketing in Web2 is mostly about building loyalty and growing your user base and your community. But Web3 companies, they now need to backtrack and go to the drawing board and start to explain the core concept and value propositions to audiences who might find the innovations confusing or intimidating. I mean, we have lots of terminologies in Web3 that sounds alien, and when people hear it, they're like, what's this? What does this even mean? You're telling me your product is going to change the world or is going to transform the world. But then what does this FUG or FUD, what does it even mean? How can I understand your transformation when I don't even understand all these basic terminologies or all these concepts or what everything is going to change? So they might find it confusing or intimidating. And so the good thing about content marketing in Web3 is that Web3 is decentralized. And so the decentralized nature of Web3 allows for more collaborative partnerships in developing a more stronger content ecosystems, because thanks to content format like NFTs and metaverses experiences, so it's actually more immersive. So I mean, strategy is still on the fact that we still need to provide value and we are still building trust at the core. But now the outreach, the approaches, our educational focuses, our messaging style, it's different. Now it needs to be tailored for the Web3 space specifically. So that's how content marketing is different for Web2 and for Web3.
Okay, thank you. Like what you said, actually, I remember writing an article for a Web3 company recently, and while doing some research, I was stumbling on different terminologies like soft fork, hard fork, all of those kind of things. I was like, these are things you wouldn't see if you call yourself a finance content writer, and then you basically focus on Web2 articles or Web3 content. These are terminologies you would not see in that part. But you're coming to the blockchain and then you're using different terminologies that are so different. And the idea basically is needing to explain it in detail so that people can even understand where you're coming from and then where you are leading them to in terms of content.
That's true.
Let's take it back a bit. Let's take it back to the very beginning. What did you study in school as a degree?
I actually did study international relations.
Wow. The reason why I asked is because I've realized somehow that many marketers today actually studied something entirely different in school. So how did you get into marketing from international relations? What brought you into marketing?
It's actually funny, but while I was in secondary school, I mean, way before I even got into secondary school, I've always been a person from primary school. My late grandma, God bless her soul, and my late grandpa too. I mean, my grandpa was always bringing storybooks for me. Grandma made sure I read them. So since primary school, I've been reading a lot. I loved reading. And for someone who had been an introvert from a young age, I love being indoors and I lose myself into that world of fantasy. And I try to imagine places that's different from my environment. Try to imagine how people in the stories I've read, how they act, what is going on in their lives and everything. From a very young age, I've always loved reading. I've always loved creating stories. And even when I was in primary school, I was known for creating tall tales. I mean, bringing up the stories. And yeah, I mean, they did catch me once or two, be like, BC, you're lying. Olabisi, you're lying. I'm like, can't blame me. So most of the time, it actually took me a while to break out from my imagination and reality. So I was always creating tall tales based on what I've read and everything. And when I got into secondary school, I was lucky that the first friend I made in secondary school too, she loved reading. She was the one that introduced me to Harry Potter. That was my first foray into like much more advanced fictional stories that I was reading in primary school. And yeah, so I think from there, I loved reading. I loved writing stories. And when I finished from secondary school, I continued reading. Then when I got into the university, I actually didn't want to study mass comm, because the idea I had for mass communication would have been a perfect course for me to study, but I knew I didn't want to go talk in a radio station, because that was the idea I had about who would study mass.
Yeah, that's the idea of most people.
Nah, so if someone had told me that if I had studied mass comm, I could work in an ad agency, I think I would have, but I didn't want to work in a radio station. And so international relations was like a second option, because aside from reading fictional stories, I also read non-fiction stories. Like, I love reading about history. I love reading about all these terror leaders like Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte, Idi Amin of Uganda. So I love reading about these people. I love reading about Putin, his life as a secret service. So I loved reading all these things. So basically, they knew me then, even at home, that just give me anything and I'll read it. Fiction, non-fiction, motivational, inspirational, I'll read it. So I think I knew that studying international relations was like a second option. And so when law was the first option. Please don't ask me why I didn't study law.
I was going to ask, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I got into university in Benin Republic, studying international relations. I loved it. I actually had to learn more backstories about all these people that I'd read in books and everything. And then I graduated, and it was so difficult to get an internship in an embassy or something. It was very difficult to get an internship, and I wasn't getting it. Even an entry-level position, I wasn't getting it. So I had to go back to my first love.
Writing.
Yes, I just went back to writing, and I had a small laptop then in the university, and I took it back home with me, and then I started writing my short stories, and I wasn't even sharing anybody. I just loved writing it, and then trying to see if I can write as good as J.K. Rowling or Chimamanda. Or Nora Roberts. I've always loved those women, and so I just write them, and then I just read them in my spare time, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think I'm making progress. And so one day I wrote one, and I didn't even know what spurred me to. I just shared it with it, and funny enough, I just started talking to this guy, not romantic interest, just a friend.
No, I wasn't going to ask.
I just had to put the disclaimer out there. And so I just sent it to him, and he didn't even get back to me immediately. I didn't know that he was doing some underground work. And when he got back to me after, he was like, okay, yo, don't be mad at me, but your story that you shared with me, I loved it. I sent it to someone who is an independent filmmaker in the UK, and he wants to talk to you.
Wow,
that's big. And I'm like, wait, what? You should have told me. Was like, yeah, you need to be at blah 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 blah. I would have said no, something. And then the person got in touch with me, and we got talking, and he said, how soon can you finish this story? I want to turn it into a short movie.
Oh wow.
Or like,
oh wow.
I was like, yeah, wait. And then I was still job searching. I was broke, and just like, okay. I told my mom. My mom was like, we they pay you big money, we they fly you to the UK. But I was like, that's getting to that.
Typical African mother.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, I completed it, and there wasn't pressure from me, but they just wanted me to complete it, and I completed it, and it got made into a movie like about a year after.
Oh wow.
I didn't sign up the right because I still got credits, but yeah, then for someone who was still looking for work, the money came in quite handy.
What's the title of the movie?
Oh yeah, Torn. Torn. Turned the movie. It's on YouTube. I can always share the link after.
I would definitely love that.
Yeah. So after that, I mean, the money was enough for me to get a better laptop, and I got a better one. So it now gave me the motivation to actually talk to people that I write those stuff, you know, if anything comes up. And so by telling people, I got my first copywriting gig. This was late 26. No, I think 27. I can't remember the years anymore, but with Daily Post, like a content mail agency. I got my copywriting gig after like about 5 times of trying. Wow. So I worked with them for a while. That was the first time I started earning in USD. And it was like a lot of money. I mean, when the first money hit my account, or like, wait, what? Like, people actually get paid for doing what they love. And yeah, so I mean, it's been an amazing journey from there. Writing for Daily Post, stopped writing for them after like a year. And then I got my full-time job with this multinational company, Oriflame, where I joined their marketing team. That's and amazing. Left there, worked with agencies, traditional digital. And yeah, so that's how I got into marketing. I mean, from writing, started learning about marketing, and then I knew this was what I wanted to do. And yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So one thing I've realized is that so many marketers don't know how to price themselves when they're applying for a particular job. For you, from the point where you submitted your story to be made into a short film to the point where you got your first copywriting gig, how exactly did you go about the pricing? Did you do some research to figure out, oh yeah, this is the kind of amount I would love to get? Or did the company offer it to you?
That's actually a good question here, because I had no idea how to price or what my worth was.
Definitely was your first job.
It was my first job. I'd applied to so many jobs. We booked my bad CV, my semi-good CV. I wasn't getting any response. So when the opportunity came and they said it was going to pay me for my story, I was confused. I didn't even think I'd go back to him until like after a week or so. I spoke to everybody. My mom said I should charge him in 7 figures. My friends then said, "That's an opportunity for you to make big money." Not
7 figures in dollars or in naira?
In naira. My mom was like, "Hey, you go for 1 million naira," because I can remember how was I said, "Go for 1 million naira now." Like, I was torn because he left to me. If he didn't ask to offer me money, trust me, I would have given him the story for free because I loved writing and it felt like a great achievement that someone even considered my short story to want to turn it into a movie. And so when it was like, okay, what are your charges, or what would you like us to pay you, something like that, I asked everybody. I spoke to everybody and some were just giving me conflicting prices. So you know what? So I sat down. I actually wrote a list from my mother's 1 million naira. So I wrote it down. I was not looking at everything. And I'm like, okay, what's the price that I can actually mention? Because when it comes to negotiating, I tend to feel nervous.
I think all of us do.
Yeah, I think there's like a gymnastics in my head that, okay, if I call this price, would they feel like I'm going to do a shitty job? If I call this price, will they think it's overwhelming and they don't want to work with me? And so I had that. It was actually worse then. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I started looking it down and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell this man I want 250,000 naira.
Okay.
And when I now go back to him, so I don't know what I just told him. I knew I wanted to collect 250k, and I said, okay, I've made up my mind for the story. And because it was based in the UK too, they calculated that if I call this amount, just a couple of pounds to him. So I said, okay, 300k. I was like, I was like, BC. Then he called me and he said, 200k, that is an independent filmmaker. He has to pay for this, he has to pay for that. Can we do 250? I was like, you know that I knew it was 250 I wanted to earn, but something just said I should say 300. Because if I said 250, they'll probably price me to like 200.
Yeah.
I said, can we do 280? I don't know where I was getting this courage from because I was scared. Because I needed that money like crazy, but I was so scared. Oh, I said, okay. Then after we like gone back and forth, I said, okay, yeah, 250. Because I didn't want to push it further again because I needed the money. And so that is one lesson I learned, is that when you are desperate, you tend to just lower your negotiation and then lower your prices because you don't want to lose the client. I mean, if I insisted on 300k and they wanted to make the so bad,
it will most likely
he
have
most
accepted.
likely would have. But also because I already had the second price in my head that okay, if he doesn't give me the 300k, he will give me 250. And so that is one thing that's also stuck with me. So now, I mean, if I tell you this is what I want to charge, I know my worth. I know the years of experience that comes with it. And is either you take it or you leave it.
Yeah.
And it might seem like huge, yes, but then you know what you are going to offer. Even if they say yeah, they can find someone who will do it less, then by all means, please go ahead. One thing they tend to forget is that cheap is expensive.
Yeah.
If you find someone who does it for you at a cheaper price, at a less expensive price, and it's terrible, you have to pay twice the amount again to get it at a higher quality. So cheap is expensive, right?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to negotiating or when it comes to telling people this is what I want to earn, this is what my rates are, I know what I'm bringing to the table and it's going to be reflective in the output of work I give you. And then you're going to see the value for money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then back then as a beginner, I was so scared and I just wanted money. And looking back at it now, I mean, if you tell me that story, trust me, is that my mother's 1 million naira upwards, I'll charge you. Right? Because I know that I've made mistakes over the years. I've refined and sharpened my writing style and everything. So yeah, that was my first pricing experience. And 250 actually did a lot of things. Got me a new laptop and actually I think I ate shawarma for like a week straight. But
how old were you then?
That was I think I was 22, 21, 22.
Fresh from school.
Yeah, 21, 22, yeah. So I think I had shawarma because then, yeah, I think things were not as bad economy-wise as it is now. I think shawarma was like 800 or so. I should have done a shawarma for like a week straight. And I got myself a new laptop. So that is how over the years I've learned how to work around my pricing and not to come across as overbearing. I mean, some clients will see you as being overbearing, right? That you are being pushy, and also the African factor that you people's cost of living is small. So why are you asking me to? Why are you asking me? So yeah, there are also many things to consider. But then when you know what you're bringing to the table, please just stick by it. Just stick by it. That's what I would say.
Thank you. All right. On the same terms of what we're talking about, if you check Google, you'll see different ideas. And usually the answers you get are not in line with your reality. You can see Google telling you a junior content marketer or an entry-level content marketer should get about 28,000 USD or 40,000 USD. And you're in your head, you're already thinking, and you walk up to one startup here in Nigeria and you tell them, okay, you know what? I don't have experience, but I want you to pay me 5,000 USD per month. So for someone who is just starting, for someone who is just getting into marketing today, how would you advise them to charge? Let's say they're getting a full-time role in content marketing. How would you advise the person to charge and not make the same mistake you made when you started out?
See, this question is actually quite tricky.
I know.
It is actually quite tricky, yeah. Because, like you said, Google gives you. I think Google just gives average, and I don't think they even consider people outside the US. Because you're starting out, and then you're assuming that okay, you're just starting out in content market, they should be earning like 30, 40k USD, and then you just look at your reality, you're like,
50,000 naira.
Is this agency that they are trying to get two clients or retainer that will pay me something USD? Right? So I've worked as both a freelancer and as a full-time content marketer. So what I usually do is I just start by what I would advise people who are just starting out is to they should always research the market rate. Remember when I said I wanted to charge for my first writing gig ever? I got ideas from different people and I wrote it down and I looked at it. So I think it's also something that applies to beginners in 2023. Just start by researching the market rate for the types of content services you plan to offer. Look at job posts, the ones who are kind enough to put salary, their remuneration, whatever, on it, on their job descriptions. Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at freelance platforms. Look at what they are paying people by the hour. Look at competitor rates, just to get a sense of price ranges. And then, so when you get all this, then you can now adjust for your geography and your skill level. So when you look at all these things, you now have like an average. So it's now up to you to reduce it, increase it to meet whichever part of the world you are in.
Yeah.
And then you are not just limiting yourself by losing yourself into the imagination of working for a USD company. You're also looking at reality, working for a Nigerian company.
Your geography,
Yes. So you adjust it for your geography and skill level. And then, so when you are starting out here, it's common for beginners to charge less as you build experience and a portfolio, because most people just want to build their portfolio and they're ready to do anything. But then, while you're ready to do anything just to build a portfolio, don't undervalue yourself too drastically.
True.
Don't. Like I said before, you have a list of different prices, so you can consider, like, like I said before, it's up to you to reduce or increase. But then, if you are looking to get into the market and then just start building your portfolio ASAP, you can consider a 20 to 30% discount from market rate.
So not completely free.
No, I don't advise people to do free jobs. You know what it takes to do research? I don't advise people to do free jobs at all.
There's this long debate, it's still an ongoing debate in the writing community, or rather marketing community on Twitter, between people saying that if you're just starting out, you should take unpaid jobs, in quotes. Even for an experienced marketer, for me presently, when I apply to jobs, someone coming to that company with over 5 years experience, you still get companies asking you to write an unpaid test. And the first question I always tell them is, have you gone through the portfolio I sent to you? Because there is a portfolio. There's a reason why I sent you that portfolio. It contains all the articles that I feel are related to the job I'm applying for and the value I can give your company. So if you have gone through that portfolio, why are you still asking for an unpaid test? Okay, you know what? It's fine. People lie in their portfolio. Yeah. So you might want to do a test, try it out and say, okay, you know what? Let's see how you can write on this particular topic. Now that's fine. Pay me for that test that you need. But then you get a lot of people with differing opinions saying that, nah, it should be free. If you're starting out, then something else, you're a known writer or a known content marketer, something like that. So yeah, I completely understand that. And thank you for pointing that out. So say no to free jobs.
No free jobs.
So relating to money, since we've been talking about money quite a lot now, this is a very personal question. What is the highest amount you have gotten per project kind of thing, or one article, or a full-time gig? Any one of them, what is the highest amount you have been paid for a particular role? my ears are stretched up presently. Do you want to hear what you have to say?
Okay, so I actually prefer not to discuss exact numbers.
Oh, okay.
But okay, one thing I would say was that I've been fortunate to actually have some I value clients and I value projects over the years, especially when I transitioned to the Web3 space. So even before I transitioned to the Web3 space, okay, so I think in Web2, let me see. Yeah, during the pandemic, I actually got a job actually quite handy. So let's say in Naira, it was like $1 million. Yes.
Ooh. Was it a one-time project?
Yes, it was. It wasn't an article. It was for a short story.
Wow. God, I don't want to be a mechanic. I want to be a baller.
It wasn't paid in US. It wasn't paid in Naira, but that's the equivalent of the payment in USD. Okay. So it was like $1 million and a couple of extra on top. So.
All right. Thank you for sharing. I know it's very tricky to disclose your earnings and all of that, but thank you for sharing.
I mean, that's for Web2, but for Web3,
I'm not saying. You still call. Well, you talk. For Web3, call.
No, that's for Web2, and that was. But for Web3, I am not saying. Like I said, I just said that one because that was like the highest amount I've been paid for a single project when I was in Web2. And in Web3, no, I think I'll just try to keep that on the wraps. Yeah. All
right, away from money. A business owner hits you up and says that they want you to create a content strategy for them. What is your process of creating a content strategy?
So first thing first, what I do is I listen. when they are talking. Because when a business approaches you, or when a business owner approaches you and says, okay, I want you to create a strategy for us, a content strategy, on the call, either in person or virtual, I listen, because it's by listening to them that I get to understand how passionate they are about their business and what they hope to achieve by reaching out to you, and what they want you to do for them. When you meet a passionate business owner and you listen closely to what they have to say and how they are talking about their business, you understand the company and you understand what their customers care about most. I mean, you can do all the research in the world, but if the person that owns the business or the person that is in charge, if you don't get to hear them speak, if you don't get to understand what exactly where they are coming from, I'm sorry to say that your strategy is doomed from the start. And so what I do first is I listen closely to understand what the company or the business or the brand, what they understand, what they want, try to understand them and try to understand what their customers care about most. And so after dotting the I's and crossing the T's, then it's time for some brainstorming fun.
Okay.
That is when you now come up with engaging topics, formats, what strategy should I go with, what are the best strategies to map out the story over time. So it's like a cool TV show with different episodes, right? They're coming from different angles. And so that is where the fun of the brainstorming comes from. You try to understand that, okay, what angle am I going to come from? And I should also add that after trying to understand what the brand wants from you, market research, if they've been doing content marketing before, you look at their previous content performance, and you also get to interview people too, stakeholders maybe. So from there, I map out like audience segments and buyer journeys to identify key messaging opportunities. And so the fun part I actually really enjoy, like I said before, is brainstorming topic ideas across different formats.
Yeah.
So topics for articles, topics for videos, topics for podcasts, and more. And then so after doing this, then it's time to craft content frameworks that allow the stories and campaigns to unfold over time. Just like I said before with TV, like a TV series, and then episodes are being released every week and something like that. So yeah, my content frameworks that allows my stories and campaigns to unfold over time. And so once I have an editorial plan, then I outline a promotion strategy across own channels like social media, paid ads, influencer marketing, if they have the budget for that, and also other avenues that is tailored to reach each audience segment that I've already crafted out effectively. Because most people, when you are crafting your audience segment, you can't just lump everybody under blog posts.
Yeah.
Not everybody. Some people have short attention span. They just want to listen. Some people just prefer to listen while they do other things. Some just prefer to watch. Some prefer to read. So you can't just lump all your audience into a particular segment. So I have to make sure that the strategy, it works across both own channels, social media, paid ads, influencers, and other avenues that's been tailored to reach each audience segment that have been created, how to reach them effectively. And lastly, I also build a feedback loop to continually assess performance and optimize based on what resonates with them. So after I've done all the strategy thing, reaching out to these people, so the feedback loop is basically, was it podcast that resonated with this particular audience more? Is that what we should focus on? Is it the video aspect? Is that what we should focus on more? Is it the blog post? Is that what we should focus on more? So it's an in-depth process. Yeah, it's not something you can just sit down and just do in a day or two. It takes a while.
Yeah.
If you want effective results, it takes a while, and it's also important to also maximize your content impact, and so you don't have to waste your resources at all. Because I could go on and on, but that's like a summary of how I go about my content strategy. Yeah,
that was very comprehensive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as a content marketer, what are some automation tools that assist you and are a part of your workflow?
First of all, shout out to my brain. Shout out to my brain. Okay, so Google Docs, my love.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure Google Docs is tired of me because every day, once I turn on my laptop and it does a ding, oh my god, hey, Olabisi is here again. So shout out to my brain. Shout out to Google Docs. I mean, Google actually cracked that part.
Yeah.
Google Docs. SEMrush for SEO.
Yeah.
I also use Ahrefs, SEMrush Ahrefs, Google Analytics. Well, I must say that GA4 is actually stressing me out. I don't know why they made us go to GA4 or something. That thing is really stressing me.
I've been seeing a lot of people talking about it on Twitter too.
Well, maybe because it's still new, we'll adapt over time.
Moving on. Someone walks up to you at an event where you have gone to speak about content marketing, and she tells you that she wants to get into content marketing also. She sees you as a role model and would love to get to where you are in content marketing and as a career. What are some skills that person would need to learn to become a great content marketer over the years?
That's a deep question.
Very deep question.
If someone walks up to me and say, "Hi, Olabisi, I want to get into content marketing. What are the things I need to learn to be able to improve my writing skills or to be a great content marketer?" First of all, I'll tell the person, I know that for the next couple of years, your brain will be on a para mode 24/7. Your brain will be on a para mode 24/7. There are days where you want to get frustrated. There are days you get frustrated. There are days you have writer's block. There are days you don't even understand how you want your strategy to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just banned. But first thing I'll tell them is work on your writing skills.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. It is very, very important. Work on your writing skills, and because content marketing is all about storytelling and communication, right?
Yeah.
And so it's important for you to work on developing like a captivating and conversational writing style.
True.
You want people to be able to read your stuff. You want to get people's attention. It's also another thing for you to be able to keep your writing simple, easy to read, and understandable. Because not everyone likes to read big grammar. It's overwhelming sometimes. So let your writing style be unique to you.
Yeah.
And just do your thing. You can worry about other things later, but most important thing is on your writing skills. Content marketing is about storytelling, yeah? So you can't be a great content marketer without being an amazing storyteller. That's how it works. So you need to also study how does compelling writing, how does it look like? You look at it across different formats, because the way you are going to write for social media is different from how you are going to write your emails, different from how you are going to write your articles. So you study them across board and trying to understand how a captivating and compelling writing looks like. And other skills that I will also advise them is have a great creativity and design sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should go and learn Figma, no, but a great content often requires amazing design to accompany it. Thank God for Canva. God bless Canva. You can learn and then just try to understand that, okay, for this particular email content I'm writing, what kind of visual will accompany it? What kind of visual will go in line with the topic or go in line with the content? So it's also great as a content marketer to also have creativity and design sense. You don't necessarily have to be like a professional designer, but then just have an idea of how it works. So when it comes to a time you need it, you don't have to start scrambling and start brushing up and down. And research skills too is important.
Yeah.
It's always good to be a great researcher. You know how to gather insights. You know when you are interviewing people, stakeholders especially, you know what to pick out from it. You know how to expand on whatever information they give you. You know how to gather your data. You know how to gather your information. At the end of the day, you know how to use it to create valuable and accurate content. And also good to also learn research best practices. It is very, very important. And project management, like I said before, when I was banting that if you want to sign up to be a content marketer, shine that your brain will be hot for like next couple of years. So that is where project management comes in. You have to learn how to ideate, to promotion, your content coordination across different platforms. It's also good to be organized. Organizational skills are highly crucial. And thinking, you have to always be thinking on your feet, because content marketing strategy. Yeah, so you have to align your content efforts with a much more broader marketing strategies and business goals. So you have to consider your messaging architecture and how do you want your campaigns, sequencing of campaigns. That is very, very important for those especially who do email marketing. It's actually very important to understand your messaging architecture and how to sequence your campaigns. So one thing I also tell you also stay up to date, because social media evolves quickly. Things happen. And go to bed now knowing that Elon Musk is not charging for Twitter, and you wake up the next morning and you have to ask you to pay $3.
Or Instagram with their updates.
Because you have to always stay up to date and always stay up to date. The tech you use, always be up to date every day, all the time, and learn how to work with others, how to collaborate with others.
Yeah.
How to work across teams, because there'll be times as a content marketer when you need to work with the sales team, because they are the ones who talk to customers directly. You need to work with them, you need to work with the tech bros, you need to work with PRs. You have to work on your collaborative spirit, precisely. And lastly, you have to be like a child in this industry. Talk about your curiosity and passion. You have to be like a baby, because children can always ask questions. At the point you're like, oh my god. So you have to always be curious all the time, and this what motivates your audiences, because when you're curious all the time, you're curious to learn what your audience are doing, what your target audience are doing, what are they learning about. Your curiosity actually informs and directs your content strategy. And don't say because you are working with an HR company, that is where it ends. Tomorrow a bigger gig might come up and it's a tech company. What happens then? So because you're working for a particular industry doesn't mean you should not stay informed or stay curious about other industries.
All right. Thank you. To add one more thing to the skill, I would say the ability to take feedback.
Yes.
Because that's a very necessary skill you need to take feedback from the editor that you're working with, if you're working with an editor, or even with other members of the team.
Yes.
All right. Winding down, what are some mistakes that you have made along your career, and what lessons did you learn from them?
Mistakes has happened. Plenty mistakes has happened over the years. But one thing I realized was that because I wanted to meet some unrealistic deadlines and not to anger my client or not to make them see me as unserious, I sometimes sacrifice quality just because I made deadline. So it was like a rushed work. And when I knew I could have actually looked at it and said, okay, this particular thing will take me 2 weeks, because I wanted to please the person, I told them 4 days, and then in the process I had to sacrifice quality to meet unrealistic deadlines. That's a mistake you should not make. See, the quality of your work comes before anything, because that is what speaks about you. And because I now know the value of pushing back on unreasonable expectations, even if it means that we're going to have that tough conversation and I'm telling you that you want this in 3 days. I don't work like that. You are going to get in 7 days, and you are going to get the best of the best. So it's up to you. Do you still want to go ahead? If you don't want to go ahead, it is fine. I'm doing that our president meme now. It is fine. Where is both of his hands was raised? You know the meme. It is fine. You can go ahead and find someone who will do it for you in a day and a half. But then, so it means having that tough conversations. We're going to have it. So no unreasonable expectations. So I don't find myself working under pressure. And I mean, the end product is just so much better when you take the time to do it right.
True.
And one thing that I also advise people that are just starting out is always learn to say no. I've learned to say no when a project is outside my experience level or bandwidth. I mean, people always say that if you can't do something, take it, and then you learn along the way. But there are some jobs that will come, some projects that will come, then you're like, no, this one passed me, I can't do it. No, I do not want to ruin what I'm looking for. I do not want to ruin
your reputation, your name.
Yes, that this person has set for me. It's just outside my experience level, my bandwidth. So I just tell them, I'm sorry, I'll have to decline and this and that. And so if you are just starting out, you might not have the bandwidth to say no to jobs, because you need the experience and you need the money. And so you might take it, but don't ever compromise your quality. Don't ever compromise the expectations that people have set for you just because of the money that comes with it. I mean, it's what I've had to learn over the years too. So when you are pushing for all these things, and you tend to avoid these mistakes, and at the end of the day, you have happier clients, you have people who are happy with you, and your portfolio is even way stronger.
That's a very great advice. So I know you're a big wine lover. What is your favorite type of wine? For me presently, I am having a glass of Declan exclusive red wine, Declan de España. Okay, so for you, what is your favorite type of wine, red or white?
White. I'm a white wine lover. I used to be a red wine lover, but I had white wine at an event. I was like, where have you been my whole life?
Where can we go to learn more about you? What platform and what are your usernames on all your platforms?
Okay, so LinkedIn, super active on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, Olabisi Adelaja. That's my name on LinkedIn. So you can always send me a request on LinkedIn. And if you want to learn more about content marketing, especially in Web3 space, I'm just a DM. I respond to all my DMs. And I'm also quite active on Twitter too. @TBC_, @TBC_ on Twitter. Those are my two professional platforms where I chat about Web3 marketing and anything marketing related.
All right, thank you for sharing. For everyone out there, if you would also love to learn more about Web3 and Web3 marketing as a whole, listen to Web3 Quick Bites. You can go to Spotify, any of your podcast platform, and just type in Web3 Quick Bites and you will get it immediately. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast to talk with me about content marketing and everything you have learned in your 5+ year journey.
You're welcome.
You're the first guest, so hooray.
Pleasure.
All right, take care of yourself and have a lovely day ahead. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Marketing Over Wine. To listen to more career stories of marketing professionals around the world, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app of your choice. Or simply visit marketingoverwine.com to stay up to date.